Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Tuesday. It's April 2nd. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And you can see here on the daily chart, we had a big sell-off all the way down to the midline of the envelope bands. Now, this midline is a little different than the other bands. It is based on a 21 bar moving average, just like our other 21 EMA. And so notice how we bounced off that. We still closed down, but we did bounce and recover off of that midline. So are we going to bounce from here? We'll see. We also looks like we might have bounced off the midline of the tighter blue channel there. So we haven't been back to the midline of this green channel in a while. So this market's gotten really, even though it's been slow and methodical, it just keeps going higher and keeps going higher. In fact, before this sell-off, we made another new high up here. So this thing seems to be continuing to move higher. We've gotten out of the overbought territory. We're back down here in the middle of the envelope band, middle of the gray channel, middle of the upper half of the green channel. So we could go higher again, or we could continue to. So we're overdue for a slightly larger correction, in my opinion. I just don't think they can sustain this. Let me back up a step. My guess is, this is just my personal opinion, and I'm not basing this off anything other than this. We're having a great rally and the fact that it's an election year, and that's generally the way it happens. They're not going to let this market sell off in an election year. No president that's up for re-election is ever going to do that. They're going to do whatever they can to keep this market propped up. So in my opinion, I don't think there's going to be a sell-off for a while. However, we could have a bigger correction so that they've got room to take it back up again and keep it propped up. So we'll see. This market seems to be strong. Companies are seem to be making money. So we'll see what happens. But there it is for today. So let's flip over to the 2000 tick chart. Take a look at today's chart there and go through the trades. As you can see, we had this big overnight sell-off, got really strong late morning going into the open. We got the break of the trend channel, a couple of legs to a new low. Actually, like we might bounce here, and it went down one more time, kind of bottomed out, and then we just had this slow, weak trend up the rest of the day. It kind of accelerated late in the day, but early on it was just kind of a slow. It's a lot of choppy sideways stuff, but there's still an upward bias to this, so it helps to draw this upward trend. And by doing so, you also show yourself that the bias tends to be to the upside. It's not strong, but it's still an upward bias here. And it started about just after 9 o'clock, between 9 and 9:20. Still a little sideways at first, but it accelerates from there. So, but let's zoom in here. We'll go through the trades. Unfortunately, there wasn't much of a way to get in this trend here. There's one possibility right here. This is a fairly strong trend, but right here, it's not looking super strong at that point. I'll show you what that was. That's what it would have looked like. That looks a little sideways there. So, yeah, that's tempting to go short. And if you had, it'd been a great trade. But I just think you have to skip that. All of these, here it's obvious a really strong downtrend, and really any signal bar that comes back, there's only one or two, one there, and that one looks a little sideways. One here, maybe you enter there, but you're having to enter at the very low, and that's never a good idea. So I didn't mark anything there. It's just getting a little too aggressive. If you took one of those trades and it worked, any of these trades probably would have worked because they didn't back up. But here's one. If you went short here, you probably got burned, but it's not off a key entry point either. It's not off the midline. The midline's a minor key entry point, and then of course your trend line and your 21 EMA are more kind of major key entry points. So, but if you're just patient, in a few minutes you get a two-legged pullback to the EMA, very small, low-risk bar, 4 ticks, and you can enter, and you get a quick, easy scalp. And then there's a lower high here, same thing, 6 ticks. It's a little more risk, but that's still very low risk. And you might catch a runner on this one, depending on how you played it, and you might could have ridden this all the way to the lows. There's another second entry here. It's 2 legs up basically, and you get a first entry, second entry. You get a close outside here, and then a move to a new high and a very bearish bar right there. I like going short there on that second entry. You just can't hardly turn that down. It's not the perfect second entry setup, but it's clearly a second entry in a super strong downtrend, and there's plenty of room to the lows. You just almost have to take that. They work, they're going to work. Now, if you'd had a break and you had 2 legs down like this, and it was at the very low of the second leg, I might say, okay, you might want to set that one out. But in this case, I think you got to take that trade. And then we go into the news item. There was a 9 o'clock job openings here. It didn't amount to much, but you still got to be aware of it and probably be flat. And of course, we just end up going sideways. You get a breakout, move to a new low. It fails out the low side, and you get a triple test here with a really nice signal bar. This has been a strong downtrend, and we could have been starting a second leg down, but it is a triple test. The key here was, do you have enough room back to the EMA? And it's really close. I think it's like 5 ticks there, but you could have dropped a limit order in there and it would have got filled, and you probably could have easily gotten the 6 tick that you need there without going through the EMA, but it doesn't matter. It ends up pushing on through anyway. So I marked that one green. You can see it there. There's clearly a triple test there. And, we're making higher lows each time and really higher highs as well. So, and then of course that runs up, makes a nice trend up. You get a close outside, tries to go higher once, twice, and fails. This one actually breaks higher and turns down, way away from the EMA. I like trading this on the engulfing bar. That's sideways for sure, but that's not really congestion. There's not that small or body with the very tiny body or no body at all, and so that's sideways stuff, but I wouldn't really call that congestion. And I don't know if I would enter this way down here. That makes this bar, well, it's 11 ticks. It's pretty big for recently, but I mean, there's days when you would have liked to have had a 11 tick bar, but for today, that's a pretty big bar. I don't know if I'd enter that close to the EMA unless I for sure had room to get out. This is a trap, so it's probably going to run down fast, and then it may run out of room and just start going sideways or turn back up, because you would expect a new high here. And we never have gotten it yet. It didn't come till way over here, and then it sold off again. So the only reason I like this trade is because it's that triple test, and it's making a lower high, and it does have an engulfing bar way away from the EMA. So you can see it coming back to the EMA and then running up and making the new high, and that's exactly what happened. Then we're just kind of chopping sideways here. You might argue there's a triple test right here, and we are expecting a new high, and it would have worked if you took this trade. You would have got a scalp out of it, nothing more. So if you took that trade, I'm probably okay with it. I think your range was further down here, but there's still 1, 2, 3, and that is a slightly higher low. It's not a first entry though. I'd probably count that as a double top, and then a first entry, second entry, and more of a third. This one's a little bit too low to count it an equal high. So to me, that's clearly a triple third entry long there. So if you really press it here, you might say that's a second entry. So maybe you give that a green, but I didn't like it in real time. Of course, it would have worked, but then it turns quickly and runs down here and makes a new low. It just runs the stops basically, and then look at it shoot right up, makes that new high. You get a close outside new high. Now you got a triple test here. Now this did make a slightly higher high, but it closed so far in. I like just going short there. Runs down here, and you don't really get a chance to enter here until you get a failed breakout. And it's not quite to that trend line, but I may not quite have the trend line right. I think it's close enough that if we break above that, you may trade that as a failed breakout and a bounce off the trend line. Off a possible trend line, that really kind of confirms the trend line right there. Now there is a higher low here, but I didn't like this one because it's too congested. There's definitely nobody there. 4 bars in a row. We're still underneath the EMA. Nothing's closed above it yet. Nothing's even closed up against it yet. So I didn't like going long there. If you didn't go long here, I thought it really would take on off there before that. But if it even broke lower and turned up, maybe you go long there. But with those triple bars, it's just an inside bar. It does make equal lows, but it doesn't really tick lower and give you that lower high. You can count that as a new low, but I just wasn't crazy about it. Again, you could probably argue for it to be green if you really want to be aggressive, but we're trying to find the best trades here. And generally I only make them green if I still really like it, but there's just something odd about it or whatever. But anyway, you get a break here, move to a new high, and it sells off. This bar is just too big to trade. Lower high here is the signal bar. Doesn't qualify. Possible reversal here, but you're not really looking for a reversal at this point. You've got a trend coming down, and that's giving you the break. So you don't really want to go short there. You just don't really get a setup here. There's a lower high here, but there's not much room. I didn't draw it, but you basically got a little channel here. So you just, I don't think you want to go short there in this channel. And it does drop down. You almost could have gone long here because it's a bullish bar, but it just doesn't have any body or anything, and it closes right even with the previous resistance, support and resistance. I'd like to see it close inside. And so that's the reason I didn't mark that bar. But if you went long there, it works. This was the better one here. It closes inside, and it looks a little more bullish, and you actually have some body, and it closes well inside. You still got plenty of room to that high, and it is off this trend line. Look how many times we tested that trend line again. So again, you might even went long on this first one. There's some reasons I don't like it because it just doesn't close inside the channel. For that reason, I don't really like it. And off it goes. You get a break here, a couple legs to a new high, and it turns down. I went back and forth about this, and this is another one. You've got your break and new high, but it's just a lot of sideways stuff there, so it could break lower and push up one more time. And so that scared me on that one. It would have worked if you took it. It is a long way away from the EMA, but it's just kind of in the middle of nowhere. You know, we're not back to the other trend line. We haven't turned down here previously. You can see we're making higher highs and higher lows. So this thing could easily be folding over into a flatter channel or something. So I think you just have to sit tight on that one. And then you get the one down, close outside, new low, but nothing really to trade. There is a second entry long here, but again, it just looks really congested. And at this point, you don't know that this is a midline. You think this is probably the upper side of the channel. And so you really can't go long there. And then finally, notice we already had a test over here. Then we had a 1, 2, 3 real quick right there. And it's obvious it's a channel, so I like going short right there. It's a real small bar again, very low risk. 4 ticks. We've had a few of those lately, and you don't get many of those, so kind of take advantage of them when you do. We had a triple test here, but that signal bar is just not quite good enough, and then this one makes a higher low, so you can't go long there. There's a higher low here, but it's right into the midline. Just skip that. It ends up breaking out and going higher. And then, again, we're just working sideways. Now, this one looks a lot like the last one. So if you saw that and you say, okay, we got a double top here, but we didn't quite make a new high on this channel. We just had a break. So that's why I don't like that one. You definitely don't want to enter that on the engulfing portion. And I don't know if this broke higher or lower first. I can't remember. I'm trying to think if I remember this part of the chart. It's late in the day too, was the other reason. I don't think I was watching when this happened. So I don't remember if that broke higher or broke lower first. But it looks like it probably went higher and then turned down. So you would have an engulfing bar you'd want to go short on. And with all those dojis in there, I would wait till this closes, and then you got some stem, and then the next bar does not break below it. So you can't really enter on the engulfing bar, and it doesn't trigger on the next one because it's an inside bar. So you just can't enter there. And it drops down here. That's the first close outside, so it could still push lower again. I don't think you want to go long. There is a second entry there. Notice this is a double top, so first entry, second entry. But you've got this channel working down, and that's the first close outside. So it's not even a real convincing one. So going long there that late in the day is pretty dangerous, in my opinion. So I didn't mark anything else, and that took us into 230. There was a triple test here. Now, I didn't mark that one. But going back, looking back, you can see there's a triple test. And it's very tempting, but that late in the day, when we still haven't made a new high here yet, you could turn down and push up, which we did. And I don't know if it works or not, but I can see where it would be tempting. See, it doesn't work. I mean, you only get 5 ticks there. So just when it gets this late in the day, you got to be a lot pickier. But there is a bit of a triple test there. So, but you got to remember too, the bias is up and not down. So if you had a triple test down here to go long, maybe you give that a little more weight. But being way up here, I just think you have to ignore that. If you did take it, was probably a 1-tick failure and you got stopped out. So always remember, late in the day, you want to be a little more choosy than you are earlier in the day. Honestly, this is so close together here, this really only looks like a double test. I mean, you can clearly see it went higher, came down, went higher, but this is all in here together, and you never really broke away from the EM. So this is like a double test almost. So it's really only a double top, in my opinion. So look, when you back out, you can see it a little clearer that it really is only a double top. What you want here is you want to test it and then pull away and come back. If you don't pull away, you really generally want to count that as one touch. Like here, notice how we hit it, then we pulled away. We came back, we hit it again, we pulled away, we came back and hit it again, plus we hit it out here. And really, even though there's several bars, I'd only count that as one touch. So hopefully that makes sense there. But anyway, there it is. Quite a few trades today. Just about every one of them. I mean, we had a trend line here that we were able to play, but most of these were range type trades for the most part. That's all the market gave us. And as traders, we have to take what it gives us. And that's why you got to be able to switch gears real quick from range, because it was all range to here, maybe even to here, and then suddenly you're trading, all trend. But even then, those two they're somewhat of a trend trade, but they're range too. This was a combination trend range. You really didn't have the range when this trade happened, so it's a trend trade. And then one of these was a trap. The rest of that's a range. This was all range stuff, triple tests and things, the rest of them. So kind of an interesting day. But there it is. I'm not going to beat around the bush. Hope you had a good trading day. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.